The first raindrops of November hit the glass wall of Daniel Hart's corner office, sliding down like memories he had long tried to erase. The city below pulsed with life, glowing headlights, rushing taxis, and a chaos that seemed quieter than the storm inside him. He sat behind his mahogany desk, the weight of his empire pressing on his shoulders. The CEO of Hart Enterprises, Daniel had everything: money, fame, power, except peace. That had vanished 10 years ago, the day Eleanor walked out of his life. She wasn't just another woman. She had been his first love, his secret muse, and his greatest weakness. They had built dreams together, until betrayal shattered everything. Now fate had found its way back to him. His secretary's voice broke through the silence.
Sir, your 3 p.m. meeting. They're here.
Daniel straightened his tie, masking the flicker of emotion that surged inside him.
Send them in.
The door opened, and there she was, Eleanor Hart, now Eleanor Bennett, standing beside her husband, Michael Bennett, Daniel's biggest business rival. For a moment, the world stood still. The rain outside grew heavier as their eyes met, 10 years of silence speaking louder than any words. Eleanor looked different. The years had softened her, but her gaze still carried that familiar spark of rebellion. Michael, tall and confident, wore his success like armor, oblivious to the storm brewing between his wife and Daniel.
Mr. Hart, pleasure to finally meet.
The pleasure's mine. I've heard a lot about you. And your company.
Eleanor stood silently, clutching her folder, her fingers trembling slightly. As the meeting began, Daniel could barely focus. Every word from Michael felt like a knife twisting deeper, not because of business, but because Eleanor was sitting there, laughing softly, the same way she used to when Daniel whispered dreams to her under city lights. When the meeting ended, Michael excused himself to take a call. The moment he stepped out, silence flooded the room again.
You've changed.
So have you, except you wear diamonds now.
You think I chose this life?
You chose him, and that's all that mattered.
Tears welled up in her eyes, but she fought them back.
You don't know everything.
Before Daniel could reply, Michael's voice echoed from the hallway, and the fragile moment shattered. Eleanor turned to leave, but Daniel caught her wrist gently.
Tell me one thing, are you happy, Eleanor?
She looked at him, really looked at him, for the first time in a decade.
I was until today.
And just like that, she walked away again, leaving Daniel standing there, staring at the door, feeling the same ache that had never really left. Outside, the rain fell harder, as if the sky itself knew the past had returned. The following morning, Daniel stood at the edge of his office window, watching the city awaken beneath a sky the color of bruised steel. The storm had passed, but it left behind that sticky silence, the kind that crawls under your skin when something isn't right. He hadn't slept all night. Eleanor's face haunted him, her trembling voice, her words, "You don't know everything." For 10 years he'd built walls of ambition around his heart, but now those walls were cracking. And Daniel Hart wasn't a man who liked losing control. He turned away from the glass as his assistant Clara walked in.
Sir, you have a visitor, she said carefully. A woman. She says it's personal.
Moments later, Eleanor stepped into his office again, dressed in a cream trench coat, her eyes rimmed with sleeplessness. She looked like a memory refusing to die.
Eleanor, twice in 2 days? I must be lucky.
I came to tell you the truth. You deserve to know. Daniel gestured for her to sit, but she remained standing, gripping her purse tightly. 10 years ago, I didn't leave you because I stopped loving you. I left because I had no choice.
That's a convenient excuse.
Her voice shook. Michael wasn't just a rival back then. He was dangerous. You remember the accident that nearly killed your father?
Daniel froze. His father's mysterious car crash. Everyone had said it was an accident, but something in her tone made his blood run cold.
What are you saying?
Michael orchestrated it. He wanted to destroy your family's company and your name. And when I found out, he threatened me. Said he'd ruin you, have you arrested for fraud your father never committed. I thought I could protect you by leaving.
And marrying him? That was protection?
Tears fell now, one by one. It was the only way to keep him from finishing what he started. He needed my silence, and I gave it.
The room went dead quiet. Outside, thunder grumbled again, distant but heavy.
Daniel rose, his eyes burning with disbelief and anger. You let me believe you betrayed me, Eleanor. You let me hate you for a decade.
I hated myself more, but now he's planning something worse. He's using Hart Enterprises as his next target. If you don't stop him, he'll destroy everything your father built.
Daniel's jaw tightened. For a long moment he said nothing. Then slowly, his rage hardened into resolve. Then he picked the wrong man to cross.
Daniel, please, don't let him pull you into this. You can't fight him his way.
You had your chance to fight 10 years ago. Now it's my turn. As she turned to leave, he added quietly, "You said you had no choice. But this time, Eleanor, you do."
I'm sorry.
The door closed softly, but Daniel could still feel her presence, like smoke that lingered long after the fire. He stared out the window again, rain streaking down the glass, reflecting a man who had loved deeply once, and was now ready to burn for revenge. The next few days at Hart Enterprises felt colder than usual. Every smile from Daniel Hart was calculated, every handshake rehearsed. Beneath that calm CEO mask, something had awoken, an old buried part of him that lived on rage, betrayal, and precision. He had been many things in life: a lover, a dreamer, a builder. Now, he was something else, a man planning revenge. Daniel sat alone in his office, the soft hum of the city vibrating through the windows. On his desk lay a folder, one Eleanor had slipped him before leaving. Inside were documents, emails, and transaction logs, proof that Michael Bennett had been slowly infiltrating Hart Enterprises' overseas branches through shell companies. Each page Daniel flipped felt like gasoline on the fire. So this was how Michael played the game, slowly poisoning his empire from within. His phone buzzed.
Sir, Mr. Bennett just confirmed the joint press conference for Friday.
Daniel smiled, but not the kind of smile that reached the eyes. Daniel. Perfect. Tell them Hart Enterprises is ready. He hung up, leaning back in his chair. Daniel, you started this, Michael. I'll finish it.
Meanwhile, Eleanor sat in her car outside Hart Tower, staring at the city lights reflecting in her windshield. Her hands trembled around the steering wheel. She had told him part of the truth, but not all of it. The real reason she left him 10 years ago still burned inside her like acid. She opened her purse and looked at the photo inside, a young boy, about 9 years old, with Daniel's dark eyes. Her son. Their son.
I'm sorry, Daniel. You can hate me all you want, but he can't know.
Because if Michael ever found out about the child, he would use him just like he used her, as leverage, as a weapon. 2 nights later, Daniel found himself sitting in his car outside the Bennett's mansion. The house glowed behind high gates and marble columns, the perfect palace for a man who thought himself untouchable. He wasn't here for violence. Not yet. He was here for information. He slipped through the side gate, the security system already hacked by his personal IT team. As he approached the living room window, he froze. Inside, Michael was on a call, pacing, angry. Daniel caught fragments of his words through the slightly open window.
The takeover's almost ready. Once Hart signs the new merger deal, his company's mine. And the fool doesn't even know it.
Daniel's jaw clenched. He pulled out his phone and recorded everything. Then, as he was about to leave, he saw movement upstairs, a figure in a white nightgown standing near the balcony. Eleanor. Their eyes met for a brief, haunting moment. Shock, fear, guilt. And Daniel did, disappearing into the night, his pulse racing, but one thought echoed in his head over and over again. She was still protecting him. Why? Back in his penthouse, Daniel poured himself a glass of scotch and stared at the video he had recorded. It was enough to ruin Michael's empire, enough to make him pay. But somewhere deep inside, Daniel hesitated, because if Eleanor was still with him, then maybe, just maybe, there was something darker at play. His phone buzzed. A message appeared from an unknown number. "Stop digging, Daniel, or you'll lose more than your company."
He looked at it, then smiled coldly. Daniel. Too late. You already took everything that mattered.
Outside, lightning cracked across the sky, illuminating his reflection. A man no longer chasing love or peace, only justice. Settings. Add subtitles with comic font and the shake effect. Use a male, clear American voice for the narrator. Friday arrived like a storm that refused to stay behind the clouds. Reporters gathered outside the luxury hotel where Hart Enterprises and Bennett Holdings were set to announce their historic merger. Inside, cameras flashed, champagne chilled, and beneath the glitter, betrayal was wine waiting to explode. Daniel Hart walked in wearing his signature black suit, calm as ever. The world saw a billionaire CEO ready to shake hands with his longtime rival. Only Eleanor saw the tension burning behind his eyes. Michael Bennett extended his hand with a rehearsed grin.
Daniel, the future looks bright.
Daniel shook his hand, firm, polite, but inside, he whispered, "Not for you." As the press conference began, Eleanor sat in the front row, her stomach twisting. Every camera flash felt like a countdown. Daniel took the microphone.
Ladies and gentlemen, before we discuss this merger, there's something the public deserves to know.
Daniel, what are you...
Let's show them what partnership truly means.
The lights dimmed. A video began to play. Michael's voice echoed through the hall.
The takeover's almost ready. Once Hart signs the merger deal, his company's mine, and the fool doesn't even know it.
Gasps filled the room. Cameras clicked. Reporters shouted.
That's fake.
Fake? My security team retrieved this directly from your system. You were going to destroy my company, just like you destroyed others. But today, you're finished.
Michael lunged forward, shouting, but security stepped in. The press exploded into chaos, and in the middle of it all, Eleanor sat frozen, her eyes wide in horror, because she knew what would happen next. Michael wasn't the type to lose quietly. Hours later, the city had turned to night. Eleanor's phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Unknown numbers, threats, warnings. She drove straight to Daniel's penthouse, trembling. The elevator ride felt endless. When the doors opened, Daniel was there, sitting by the window, looking out at the skyline, drink in hand.
You shouldn't have come here.
I had to. You don't understand what you've done. Michael, he won't stop until...
Until what? Until I'm ruined? Until he kills me like he tried 10 years ago?
Eleanor froze. He knew.
Daniel's voice cracked. The first time his anger bled into sorrow. You think I didn't know why you left? You think I never asked myself why you ran to him? Tell me, Eleanor, did you ever love me?
I never stopped. Because he threatened our son.
The words hung in the air like thunder.
Our what?
He's 9. He's yours, Daniel. Michael found out when I got pregnant. He said if I didn't marry him and disappear, he'd kill you.
Silence. The city outside seemed to hold its breath. Daniel turned away, gripping the railing. His whole world, 10 years of rage, shattered in an instant. All this time, she hadn't betrayed him. She'd saved him. But now, the truth had come too late. Down below, a black car idled in the street. Michael Bennett sat inside, eyes burning with hatred.
What now, sir? Now we take away what he just found.
The elevator chimed behind Eleanor and Daniel. Footsteps. A shadow.
Daniel, he's here.
Daniel turned, and everything changed in that single second. The night felt too still, the kind of silence that warns you something terrible is about to happen. Eleanor clutched Daniel's arm as the elevator doors slid open. A figure stepped out. Michael Bennett, his eyes wild, a pistol glinting in his trembling hand.
Well, isn't this touching? The lost lovers reunited at last.
Michael, don't do this. Please, just leave.
Leave? After everything I built for you? After everything you took from me? You ruined me today, Daniel. You think you can walk away from that?
You ruined yourself. I just pulled the mask off.
You think you're the hero in this story, huh? The CEO with a heart of gold? You stole her from me?
You never had me, Michael. You forced me.
Her words cut through the room like a blade. Michael froze, for just a moment. That was all Daniel needed. He lunged forward. A shot rang out. The glass wall behind them shattered, wind roaring through the penthouse as Michael stumbled back. Eleanor screamed. Daniel had tackled him, struggling for the gun. They crashed against the floor, fighting for control. The gun slid across the marble tiles. Eleanor ran toward it, but Michael kicked it away, slamming Daniel into the floor.
I gave you everything, and she still wanted you.
He swung, but Daniel caught his wrist.
Blood spilled as the shard cut into Daniel's hand. He forced it away. You're done, Michael!
Then, another shot. Loud, deafening, and suddenly, silence. Eleanor froze, her hands trembling. Michael looked down, eyes wide, disbelief written across his face. Blood bloomed across his chest. He turned slowly to Eleanor, who stood holding the gun.
I warned you. You should have left us alone.
Michael fell to his knees, gasping. For a moment, his expression softened. Not hate, not anger, just regret. Then he collapsed. Eleanor dropped the gun. Daniel pulled her close, his heart pounding.
No, this is just the beginning. The police, the press, they'll say I killed him for you. They'll never understand what he did to us.
Then we'll tell the truth, together.
She smiled faintly, broken, fragile. Together? He nodded. Always. But as they embraced, outside the shattered window, the city lights flickered, like the heartbeat of a world that would never let them rest. And far below, in the shadows of the street, a man, in a trench coat, watched them, silently. He spoke into his earpiece.
Target down, but heart isn't safe yet.
Understood. The Bennett family won't forgive this.
Then let the war begin.
Friday arrived like a storm that refused to stay behind the clouds. The sirens didn't stop for hours. Blue and red lights flashed across the penthouse windows, painting Eleanor's pale face with guilt and terror. Detectives stormed the scene. Paramedics wheeled Michael's lifeless body out on a stretcher. The man who once ruled the city's corporate world, now gone with a single bullet. Eleanor sat on the couch, her wrists trembling, her white blouse stained with crimson. Daniel sat beside her, holding her hand, silent. Detective Marlowe, a sharp-eyed woman with years of experience reading liars, stepped forward.
Let's make this simple. Who pulled the trigger?
I did. It was self-defense.
And your husband attacked you both?
Yes, he came here with a gun. He was angry, obsessed. He would have killed Daniel.
The detective wrote something in her notebook, her eyes never leaving Eleanor's.
And the reason he confronted you? You two were having an affair?
That's irrelevant.
Oh, I think it's very relevant. Because right now, the story looks like this. The wife of a millionaire kills her husband while in another man's apartment. And that man just happens to be her new CEO.
No, that's not.
Then tell me what it is, Mrs. Bennett.
Silence. Only the hum of the city filled the room. 3 days later, the news spread like wildfire. Headlines screamed, CEO's secret affair ends in murder. Eleanor Bennett shoots husband in cold blood. Corporate scandal rocks the city. Daniel Hart under investigation. The company's stock plummeted overnight. Protesters gathered outside the office holding signs that read, Justice for Michael Bennett. Daniel faced the press with icy calm, but inside, he was unraveling. His investors wanted him gone, his board of directors demanded he step down, and yet, none of that hurt as much as watching Eleanor crumble under the weight of her guilt. Late one night, Daniel found her sitting by the window in his apartment, staring into the city lights.
Do you think they'll ever believe me?
I don't care what they believe. I know the truth. You saved my life.
I also took one.
He gave you no choice.
But maybe I could have stopped him without killing him.
Eleanor, you've punished yourself enough. Let me carry some of that pain.
You don't understand, Daniel. He wasn't alone that night.
What do you mean?
Eleanor swallowed hard. Before he came here, he got a call. I heard him say something about finishing the deal and making sure they both disappear.
Disappear? Who?
The next morning, Daniel's security chief reported something disturbing. Michael's bank accounts had been emptied after his death. Millions vanished into an offshore account under a new name, R. Valen, and surveillance footage showed a shadowy figure entering the building minutes before Michael. A man wearing a trench coat. The same man who had watched from the street that night.
Whoever that was, he's cleaning up Michael's mess. Or finishing it.
He's not done with us.
That night, as Daniel reviewed the footage again, his phone buzzed. Unknown number. A message appeared. Michael may be gone, but his promises live on. You took what was his. Now we'll take what's yours. Attached, a photo of Eleanor, taken just minutes ago, through the apartment window. Daniel's blood ran cold. He ran to the balcony. The city stretched out before him, silent and endless. But somewhere out there, in the darkness, someone was watching. The air was heavy that night, the kind of stillness that only comes before a storm. Daniel hadn't slept for 2 days. Every sound made him flinch. Every flicker of light across the window made him think someone was there. Eleanor sat curled up on the couch, pale, exhausted, eyes red from crying. She hadn't eaten since the text arrived. Outside, the city sparkled, unaware that their world had collapsed into fear. Daniel's phone buzzed again. Another message. You can't hide her forever. She chose you. Now, we'll take what's yours. Attached, a short video. Eleanor sitting at that same window, only this time the video was live. Daniel bolted to the glass and looked out. Across the street on the top floor of another building, a red laser blinked in the dark. Daniel pulled her into the hallway, heart pounding. Stay here, he said, grabbing his gun.
Daniel, don't.
He stormed into the street, scanning the rooftops. Rain began to fall, light at first, then heavy, drenching him in seconds. A black van peeled away from the curb. Daniel jumped into his car and followed. The chase tore through the empty midnight streets. The van swerved through alleys, trying to lose him, but Daniel was relentless. His rage was louder than the thunder. Finally, the van crashed into a dead end near the river. Daniel got out, gun raised. "Show yourself!" he shouted. The driver stepped out tall, in a trench coat, face shadowed by the rain.
You shouldn't have come here, Mr. Hart. Someone who worked for Michael Bennett. Someone who doesn't forgive betrayal.
Michael's dead. It's over.
Michael was never the problem. You were. You took his wife, his company, his pride. He paid us to make sure you lost everything. Even after his death, that deal still stands.
Daniel fired, but the man was faster. The shot went wide. The stranger tackled him, the gun skidding across the wet pavement. They fought brutally. Fists, blood, rain. Daniel slammed him against the van. The stranger's mask fell, and beneath it, a face Daniel recognized.
Robert Valen.
Michael's business partner, the man who vanished months before the scandal began.
You finally remember. Michael made me promise that if anything happened to him, I'd destroy everything you loved. Especially her.
Not tonight.
A single gunshot echoed, not from Daniel's hand. Robert staggered, eyes wide, and fell. Behind him stood Eleanor, holding the gun, shaking violently.
I couldn't let him take you, too.
Daniel caught her as she collapsed, the weapon clattering to the ground. Weeks later, the police ruled it self-defense. Robert's crimes tied back to offshore accounts, blackmail, and murder contracts. The truth came out, and so did the story of Eleanor's past. Michael had been abusive, controlling, and desperate to save his collapsing empire. Eleanor had tried to leave before, but he threatened to ruin Daniel's life. Everything, the affair, the fight, the shooting, had been part of a chain of fear she couldn't break, until now.
Daniel visited her at the rehab center a month later. The walls were white, peaceful. Eleanor looked up when he entered, weak, but smiling faintly. "Eleanor, you came back," she whispered. "Daniel, I told you I would," he said softly. He sat beside her, taking her hand. "The company's safe now. The board reinstated me, and I cleared your name." Her eyes filled with tears. "I don't deserve you." He smiled sadly. Neither of us deserved what happened, but we survived it. Outside, sunlight broke through the clouds, the first time in months. "Eleanor, maybe now I can finally breathe again." "Daniel, breathe, Eleanor. We're free."